Afternoon, VHR. All right, here we go. Ori, phase two, tanking, healing, and our positional movements. During phase one, we're going to do a standard positioning that we're very familiar with the main tank at the 12 o'clock position, off tank at the 3 o'clock position. Roughly, this is going to be a fluctuating area. Range the same spot at 3, but in a stacked position, and then melee at the south. When we go into phase two, what we're going to do is break down. This is just an example of like a 20 group. What we want to do is assign a color to each one of the healers, so they'll have a symbol above them. And what that's going to be able to create is easy positioning for each one of the groups. So for example, in this, we've got group one's red, group two is orange, group three is going to be purple, and then group four is going to be blue. There'll be a healer in each one of the groups naturally, and they're going to have that symbol on top of them. This is a rough breakdown of the room, believe me. There's a lot more edges and alleyways and whatnot that correspond with his phase two ability, Rolling Fury. So, but the idea is you're going to be responsible for each one of these quadrants. And then at that time, the group is going to move initially to each one of them upon phase two and Rolling Fury beginning. And you're going to start clearing out containers that have ore in them. There's a picture that's associated with wowhead.com and the strategy guide that's there. So you can take a look at it so you know what you're looking for. And this will just be something that will be trial and error to be able to improve on. Like I said, there's multiple alleyways of how the room breaks down because of the way he's rolling. Another element that I wanted to bring up during phase two is the earth-shaking collision. Basically, as he's rolling around and rolling Fury, he's got two things going on, which is Hunger Drive and earth-shaking collision. Hunger Drive is a subsequent dealing of what earth-shaking collision will do, and it increases the amount of damage that's going on each time he has a collision that occurs. Once all the crates are spotted in the corridors, you want to make sure that you're breaking them open as quickly as you can. Running behind him is considered the safest route because he's not going to like run down one way, hit the wall, turn around, and immediately shoot back down. So if you're running behind him and taking out these crates, for example, you're going to be in good shape. You just want to make sure that when he does turn around, he's going to do just like he does with on Twins. When you see the shield rush going on, he's going to turn, aim, and then he's going to go that direction. So just think of him as like a bowling ball. It's going to be just going in a straight line. Now let's talk about tank responsibilities. Tank responsibilities is that you always got to make sure that he's faced away from the group, from the range group, and that you never expose his back. When you're sitting there as off tank, you're always going to be in this position here, and you're going to be doing your swap through here. So make sure that your cooldowns are ready for when Acid Torrent comes through. When DBM announces Acid Torrent, you'll hear me more than likely call out, but you need to be paying attention for this because I want to start eliminating call-outs as frequently. Range needs to, at that point, stack behind the offensive tank. I'm not sure how far of a distance it would be, but I would imagine a couple of yards would be best. The Acid Torrent will go off. He'll take a majority of the damage, use a cooldown. They recommend that you use defensive cooldowns too if there's some mistake that goes on. And then immediately two are going to swap, so the OT is going to run over, MT is going to come over. There'll be that taunt, and then boom, we'll be set to go. Next thing we want to look out for is damage dealing responsibilities. You got to watch out melee for explosive shards. They're going to be near him and around this area here on the base on the south during phase one. So when they occur, just make sure you do all that you can to avoid it. Range DPS, your responsibility is going to be Wretched Blackrock. So this group here is going to be moving back and forth, and because of the walls and the dynamics that are set up of the stage, you're going to be leaving down these piles of Wretched Blackrock pools. So I'm not sure of the color necessarily, but I would imagine they're probably either gray or, since Blackrock's got a kind of like a silvery sheen and black sheen to it, it'll look kind of like oil. You're going to be leaving these. So it'll be like so. You'll start here. One will happen. One will happen. One will happen. There goes the venom attack. So got to get behind the tank. And then back to here. Next one will happen. Next one will happen. And we'll kind of try and space them. And we'll just work on what works best. You know, if we can get to the edge of it, just like we were doing with detonations on Imp, it'd be kind of the same thing, where we just stack them as tight as we can throughout the encounter. Rotating from that, it says that during acid torrents, make sure that you're using a damage reduction. So I think I stated that already, but just make sure you do. And then healer responsibilities. Let's see. The tank who is soaking the acid torrent is going to take a lot of single target damage. So make sure you're just paying attention for that. The range pile also is going to take some damage because basically it takes a lot of damage And then the damage, because it's a liquid-based attack, is going to be less as it goes through the tank at that point and each subsequent person. So that's why we do a stack here. And at that point too, it doesn't hurt for you to use a cooldown. I'm not sure of the timing, but I'm sure you'll be able to use one, and then maybe like, for example, a Hellstone or something of that nature afterwards on the next rotation, and then just kind of flip-flop between those two. Make sure that during rolling phase that you spread out properly to the areas that are assigned in each one of the healers. Like we said, we're going to do flags, we're going to do colors on top of each one of the healers, so everything's going to be very clear as far as where you need to be, so that way you don't run 35 yards. Your responsibility is to be near the healer. If you die because you are not near a healer, that's on you, right? So make sure that you're within the 30, 35 yards that a healer needs, and that's going to be the base of operations as you work from the flag until we collapse back into phase one. They also suggest here that due to the amount of damage that's going on from the collisions, that you might want to save some of your healing cooldowns, your major cooldowns for the areas that you're responsible for towards the end, because of the fact that it keeps stacking and keeps on doing damage. I appreciate you watching the video. If you have any questions, please ask me in-game or write comments below. Please click like, and I'll move on to the next series.